going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. I know the price action for Bitcoin has been a little bit boring these past 4 days. We're still sitting at around the 6.6K level at the time of making this video. However, having a look at what is going on right now, we do know that Bitcoin has really just been range bound, sort of between 6.4K. We did get up to almost $7,000 briefly. So I am expecting there to be some pretty intense volatility relatively soon. The price could be totally different by the time you see this video. However, I do want to talk about a few things. Number one being, was that the Bitcoin bottom around the $3,800 level that we dipped down to? There are a few factors and reasons why that actually could have been the bottom for Bitcoin, even though a lot of people are saying, no, that's it, Bitcoin's done, we're going a lot lower. I do want to actually get into and discuss that. Also, we had one sort of bearish indicator, right? We had this actual, it's a double death cross right now. We have the 50 crossing below the 200 and the 100 moving average. I'm going to go into whether or not we should actually be afraid or if this is just some kind of a fake out. I'm going to compare it to some previous crosses as well. I also want to discuss essentially evidence that we do have demand for physical Bitcoin. You know how we just saw demand for gold, right? You can't get physical gold anywhere. You can only get basically paper gold. Well, we also have proof that physical demand for actual Bitcoin is increasing. And also, if that's not enough to get you excited, I want to talk about $1 trillion that is it's potentially destined to come into Bitcoin and could push the Bitcoin price all the way up to $350,000 per Bitcoin. And no, I'm not talking about stimulus checks. This is something completely different. So if that sounds good to you, that is basically what we're going to be diving into today. And yeah, so if you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And without further ado, let's hop straight into the chart. So having a look right here, guys, we are still above the 200 weekly moving average. This is still good short term for Bitcoin, right? You could see we had this sort of Darth Maul wick right here last week, and currently we're sitting substantially above it. Now, having a look at this downwards trend that we were in previously, we are above that, which is good. Now, we do need to still get above the 200 daily moving average. That's around $8,300. This is a very significant moving average. I'm not going to talk about it again, but you guys know that traditionally you want to sort of maintain above this moving average for it to be considered somewhat bullish, right? We are going to also hit some resistance at around the 7.8K level. Now, having a look right here, we are in a bit of an ascending wedge. Now, unfortunately, we have seen multiple ascending wedges for Bitcoin in the past play out to be quite bearish, right? Usually you look for a move to the downside. I'll get into those levels in just a second. However, we do notice that we are back above this support that was holding us down during the downwards trend. Now, keep in mind, it still is a downtrend. However, currently we are sitting above the level. So that's good. We're back on top of the support again. So maybe we will ride this up. We are going to see some resistance at around the 7.2K level. And then ultimately, like I said, $7,800 for me personally is the level that I need to see Bitcoin to get above to be like full on short-term bull, right? Now we'll get back to those in just a second, but I do want to talk about this sort of death cross. It's actually a double death cross. You have the 50 moving below the 100, which is the blue, and the 200. But let me actually get the 100 out of here for just a second, because a lot of people are talking about the fact that it has crossed, you know, basically below the 200. Now, having a look right here, look, the last time that we had the death cross, okay, was back here. And now keep in mind, people do anticipate these moves. They tend to try to front run them. If they think they're going to have a death cross, then they, you know, look to sell. And if they think they're going to have a golden cross, which is the opposite, then they look to potentially start accumulating. Well, the last two times that we had either of these, if you played them based on what they said they were supposed to do, you would have probably missed out on a lot of opportunity. For example, as we had this death cross that started to look like it was going to form towards mid-October to late October, well, we had Bitcoin sitting down all the way at around $6,600, interestingly enough. I'm sorry, $7,200, excuse me. And had you looked to sell your Bitcoin at that point, well, 2 days later, Bitcoin actually had an astronomical pump of almost actually over 40% from the bottom of the wick to about $10,300 before then eventually having the pullback. But keep in mind, for Bitcoin to get all the way back down to those levels, had you sold, you would have basically been waiting, Yeah, about 30 days. You would have been waiting about a month to get back, and you would have missed out on all these potential gains, and that was on a death cross. Then, if we fast forward to when we had the golden cross right here, which was, February 17th, February 18th, well, after that, Bitcoin actually took a plummet and then continued to fall downwards all the way to the bottom that we just had right now. So actually, it would have been better to counter trade these in both scenarios. Now, is it going to play out this time? I mean, we have had a pretty incredible increase from the bottom. It is playing out right now, but the question is, are we actually looking for that dump? Now, I did say that we are in an ascending wedge, which usually does, go to the downside, and having a look at some of these levels, if we were to break down, well, you could see the next level being the 5.8K, the lower 5,000s, 5,400, and even revisiting 4,500. And the reason for that being that we could potentially also be putting in a bit of a double top, right? Right here, we're having one top and two top. And if we do, fall down, well, then we could look to go down to those lower levels. So it's going to be very tricky out there. I definitely do recommend you take some caution. Keep in mind, we are going into the weekend, right? We do know that weekends can get a little volatile, but I just wanted to break that down to you and show to you that these golden crosses, death crosses, they are lagging indicators, right? Keep in mind, moving averages are lagging indicators. So I just wanted to point that out moving forward. So that was sort of the technicals of the day, but let's talk about why we had the crash to begin with. Well, if you look at what Rect Capital said, he essentially said that the crash was due to a combination of, don't forget, we had the Plus token sell-off, we had cascading BitMEX liquidations, right? BitMEX basically completely overloaded and had to shut down. Plus, we have a fear about the worldwide pandemic, which shall not be named. But oh yeah, guys, don't worry, it's not actually money printing. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, he actually is here to reassure you of that.
Well, the Federal Reserve doesn't exactly print money, but as one writer put it, you do have the ability to conjure money out of thin air. My question to you is simple. Is there any limit to the amount of money the Fed is willing to put into this economy to keep it afloat? Is it a blank check?
Savannah, we, in certain circumstances like the present, we do have the ability to essentially use our emergency lending authorities. And the only limit on that will be how much backstop we get from the Treasury Department. We're required to get full security for our loans so that we don't lose money. And so the Treasury puts up money as we estimate what the losses might be. But essentially, the answer to your question, though, is no. We can continue to make loans, and really the point of all that is to support the flow of credit in the economy to households and businesses.
But, so you're saying, no, it's not a blank check, but yes, you're prepared to spend an unprecedented amount.
We certainly are.
So the question is the Bitcoin bottom in? The question should be, could we see so many extreme events coincide with one another again? Interesting, right? But I do want to just point out, on top of that, you do notice that we had 3.3 million jobless claims. Now think about that. In the US, there's about 330 million US citizens, give or take, right? 3.3 million. So you're essentially saying that currently, as I'm making this video, 1% of the US is now out of a job. That's definitely going to have an effect. Let me know if you've been affected by this at all. Has your job, your hours, your wage been affected? I saw somebody on Reddit saying, hey guys, listen, it's been a great ride. I have no choice. I have to cash out my Bitcoin. I need to pay for expenses because I simply don't have a job right now. Not to mention the fact that stocks rallying on a 3.3 million jobless claim tells you everything that's wrong with the current financial system, right? I also want to just mention we do have the miners, right? The other day, a lot of people were talking about the miner death spiral, miner capitulation, right? Well, as you can see right here, if you're a trader or investor in Bitcoin and don't understand the primary source of sell pressure on the price that comes from miners, you might want to do a little bit of research. In fact, there is a really good article I'll drop below. But yes, if these miners can't afford to pay for their costs, then they're going to shut down as well. Now, also, just want to talk super quick about what we had yesterday. We had this insane, almost 50% dip in the Bitcoin hash rate. Now, currently today, if we actually zoom in, you can see that we actually have come back, right? We got all the way down to about 75 million terahashes, and now we're actually back up to 112. So the Bitcoin network is having a recovery. Now, I just want to point out, if you have a look at this, you can see that obviously this is very correlated to price action. You can see the last time that we had this sort of capitulation was when we had the dump in November. Now, I do want to point out that this is the beauty of Bitcoin. This is what Satoshi built into the protocol. This is why Bitcoin's not going to die. We're not going to have a minor death spiral. You can actually see right here that we had an insane adjustment in the difficulty of the Bitcoin mining, which means that it is now easier to mine blocks in the reward, which is actually good for miners, which means that some of these miners that might have been sitting on the sideline or had capitulated or did turn off their machines now might be able to get back in and actually get those rewards again a lot easier. So if you're not sure on how Bitcoin difficulty works in relation to hash rate, definitely Google that, check it out, read about it. It's all in the white paper if you want to read the Bitcoin white paper. But yeah, this is the beauty of the network. It is self-sustainable, essentially. So you don't have to deal with these things that we deal with in the traditional world, right? One other interesting thing I want to talk about before we move on is the fact that we've actually noticed, and this is a chart over here from Alejandro Della Torre, and he says this chart shows the average number of blocks found in Bitcoin. Looks like a good amount of miners have actually switched over from Bitcoin Cash to Bitcoin. So we're seeing some miners that were mining on Bitcoin Cash saying this is not profitable, moving over to Bitcoin. In fact, at the time of this post, 7 blocks were found in the last hour for Bitcoin, while only 1 was found for Bitcoin Cash, which is pretty crazy because one of the sort of appeals of Bitcoin Cash was supposed to be that it's faster and that blocks get mined quicker, right? Well, that doesn't look like it is what's happening. But guys, listen, there's a lot of fear right now, okay? We see a lot of people freaking out. They don't know what to do. They've been panic selling stocks, panic selling Bitcoin. Even gold had a flash crash, right? And the reason for this is because people are just worried about what to do with their money. In fact, a lot of people have been looking to pull their money out of the bank. But guys, don't worry. The FDIC ensures you that all of your money is totally safe.
We're living in unprecedented time. At a time of a pandemic like this, it is way too easy to get confused and to have fear about what you should be doing with your money in your accounts, especially as you're looking at the volatility in the stock market and the financial sector. This is what I would like you to take away from this. Your money is safe at the banks. The last thing you should be doing is pulling your money out of the banks now, thinking that it's going to be safer someplace else. You don't want to be walking around with large wads of cash, and you certainly don't want to be hoarding cash in your mattress. It didn't pan out well for so many people. And I will tell you this, no depositor has lost a penny of their insured deposits since 1933, when the FDIC was created. So if you're talking about having your money in a safe place, please keep it in an FDIC-insured bank.
Because when the FDIC chairman has to come out and remind you that it's totally safe to leave your money in banks and not to pull your money out, well, that makes us feel a lot better, right? I mean, it's just almost weird that they even had to make this message, but let me talk about some actual facts, and I'm going to show you why basically physical Bitcoin has been in high demand. Now, we saw that gold was in high demand recently, right? Physical, actual gold, whereas you couldn't get actual physical gold anywhere. We were just seeing sold out across the board. Well, check this out, guys. Data from Arcane Research posted on March 25th actually reveals that as of March 20th, the number of traders opting to receive a physical delivery of cryptocurrency rose 44%. Now, this is according to Bakkt futures. Now, keep in mind, for a while, we were seeing Bakkt physical delivery not really be in high of demand. They were mostly just doing cash settled, right? So they were betting against the future price of Bitcoin, but they were taking the profits or the losses essentially in cash. This time around, it's 44% up for Bitcoin, which basically shows you that the demand for Bitcoin is going up despite all the FUD that you're seeing maybe out in the mainstream media right now. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You can see that they do mention that while physical delivery of Bitcoin is up, okay, upon contract expiry, the volume, the overall volume of traded contracts and open interest are in fact significantly down. So you're seeing less overall interest in trading of Bitcoin, but those who are choosing to remain are opting for physical delivery, right? But also keep in mind, a lot of people are probably afraid to be trading right now in these times, with everything that's going on out there, right? Now, one thing that I do want to point out, which is a report from Kraken Intelligence, and this was called Inheriting US Dollar and Acquiring Bitcoins, How the Great Wealth Transfer Will Fuel the Great Bitcoin Adoption. And this is basically where we come up with the $350,000 Bitcoin. Now, according to the report, you can check it out right here. I will leave the link. The researchers found that millennials and Generation Z in the United States will inherit approximately $68.4 trillion from the baby boomers. That's a lot of money, guys. So they're saying supposedly only $971 billion, which is only 5% of millennials and Gen Zers inherit wealth. And if that wealth flows into Bitcoin, this will be enough to push Bitcoin's price to about $350,000. And using this curve, they're looking at around the year 2044. So 2044 is, it's a long time away, guys. I'll be much older at that time. However, they do see that as a possibility. Now, the reason that they say that maybe these guys would be buying Bitcoin is because they do cite a survey conducted last year in which 42% of the respondents aged between 18 and 34 said that they are likely to buy Bitcoin within the next 5 years. So in contrast, there was only 8% of people over the age of 65 that said they were willing to buy Bitcoin. So 8% over the age of 65 said they're interested in Bitcoin, which is very low, whereas 42%, which, that's pretty high, 8% off of being half of the total survey, said they will be buying Bitcoin within the next 5 years. So that is definitely pretty awesome. Oh, this is kind of just it's kind of funny, but basically now there's this Bitcoin scam going around, and it's an email, and they're basically saying that they know your passwords, your whereabouts, what you eat, whom you talk with, the little things that you do in every day, and they say if they want, that they could actually infect your entire family with the virus which shall not be named. What? Reveal all your secrets, and countless other things they can do. They want you to pay them 4,000 Bitcoin and send it to the address, which is obviously blocked out because for obvious reasons. But yeah, that's a new scam going around. Don't fall for it, guys. And finally, I do want to end on the fact that Vitalik Buterin has actually come out and argued for the creation of a system that allows seamless swaps between Bitcoin and Ethereum. He said we should put resources towards a proper, trustless, serverless, maximally Uniswap-like UX, for Ethereum to Bitcoin, decentralized exchange. He says it's embarrassing that we still can't easily move between the two largest crypto ecosystems trustlessly. So truly decentralized crypto swaps would mean that buy-sell orders are broadcasted directly between both market participants via an inter-blockchain overlay. He's also advocating for the creation of DEX bridges to link Ethereum with other blockchain networks, such as an infrastructure that basically should be created to have trustless and serverless cross-chain DEX capabilities to enable crypto swaps. Now, there are currently projects that are working on this. I think we have things that are really similar to this, but we don't really have the adoption currently right now. So let me know what you guys think about that. Also forgot to mention the fact that we do have this CME futures gap up at around $9,060. Let me know what your opinion is on that. Do you think we're going to fill the gap? Do you think Bitcoin is destined to just have a massive plummet? Is this wedge just going to end in a giant double top breakdown back to the $4,500 level? Was the bottom in? Lots of questions. Let me know what you guys think below. And also, if you are looking to do some trading, I do recommend ByBit. That is my go-to exchange for non-spot trading. If you're just going to buy and hodl dollar cost average, then definitely that is the way to go. But if you're looking to trade these volatile markets, you can make money by longing Bitcoin, and you can make money by shorting Bitcoin when the price goes down. I do not recommend this for beginners. This is high risk, fast-paced trading. But if you are interested, I do have a tutorial above. You can check it out. And I do have links links below. If you use the links, you are obviously helping to support the channel. I do make a small commission. They do have a lot of bonuses up to $90, but that is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You are the reason that I attempt to make videos as frequently as possible. Sometimes I get a little busy. What can I say? But I do love you. Be safe out there. Let me know what you guys think about the current situation. As you guys know, I'm a long-term hodler of last resort. I'm not going anywhere. And yeah, that's basically it for me. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course,